Welcome to the online public involvement presentation for proposed improvements along the Highway 80 and Highway 11 corridor in Grant County. The purpose of these projects is to address the deteriorating pavement, operational issues, and safety concerns along the roadways. This is a list of people who are working on this project. Their contact information will be shared later in this presentation, which will include their emails and phone numbers, as well as the address of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Southwest Region office in Madison. Feel free to contact them with any comments, questions, or concerns regarding the project. The presentation will follow the outline shown here. Project 533-0203 begins on Highway 80 at the Illinois state line and extends to Highway 11 in Hazel Green. Project 1706-0601 begins on Highway 11 at the Hazel Green western village limits and extends through Hazel Green on Highway 1180 to 800 feet north of Lewisburg Road. The projects are designed to address the deteriorating asphalt pavement and safety concerns on Highway 80 and Highway 11. The pavement surface throughout the corridor is deteriorated with substantial cracking and rutting. In addition, this corridor experiences run-off-the-road type accidents. An existing culvert at Buncombe Road is improperly graded, and severe crashes have occurred at this location. The intersection at Highway 11, Highway 80, County W by the Village Hall in Hazel Green experiences higher than average severe crashes and difficulties accommodating larger trucks. This intersection will be discussed in greater detail later in the presentation. Curb ramps within the village of Hazel Green are also deficient of the requirements set forth by the Americans with Disabilities Act and present accessibility challenges to pedestrians with vision or mobility limitations. The Lewisburg Road intersection on the north side of Hazel Green is also experiencing an elevated frequency of rear-end crashes. To address the pavement surface and corridor safety concerns, the proposed project would remove and replace the top layer of asphalt throughout the corridor. In addition, the pavement on the existing shoulders would be widened and centerline and edgeline rumble strips would be added throughout the rural sections. Wet reflective pavement markings would be placed on the edgelines in the rural sections of the corridor to improve pavement marking visibility both at night and in adverse weather conditions. The culverts at Buncombe Road would be replaced or extended to allow for proper slope grading and discharge elevations. Within the village of Hazel Green, existing curb ramps would be reconstructed to meet current federal accessibility requirements, and existing asphalt overlay would be removed from the west gutter to improve drainage, and the new centerline of the roadway would be recentered between the curb lines. New street lighting is also proposed at the Highway 80 Highway 11 intersection to enhance visibility in low light conditions. A northbound left turn lane would also be added to accommodate left turning traffic at the Lewisburg Road intersection on the north end of Hazel Green to address the rear end crash frequency problem. The intersection of Highway 11, Highway 80, and County W in Hazel Green is currently a partially offset intersection with stop signs on Fairplay Street, otherwise known as Highway 11 West and County W. This intersection has experienced above average crashes, including several severe crashes. This may be partially due to the offset geometry, limited existing lighting, and limited visibility on approach to the intersection. In addition to the crash history, this intersection carries a significant amount of truck traffic. Due to the constrained nature of the existing intersection, trucks are not able to navigate all turning movements, and there is a history of semis regularly driving over the curb at this intersection with some power pole strikes reported. This picture offers a good look at the damage that truck overtracking has done in the northwest quadrant of the intersection. The existing curb and gutter is almost completely black from the frequency of tires rolling over the curb. The asphalt terrace between the curb and gutter and the sidewalk is also deteriorated due in part to truck overtracking. We'll take a closer look at the turning movements that have been contributing to these conditions next. This video shows a typical semi traveling eastbound to northbound through the intersection. This movement, as well as the right turn in the opposite direction, are the two most popular paths for large trucks at this intersection. This video shows a very large, low-profile DST lowboy attempting to navigate the existing intersection eastbound to northbound. The vehicle does not have room to maneuver through the intersection without significant encroachment into opposing lanes of traffic. Also notice how the rear of the trailer is forced to climb the curb and gutter and ride along the sidewalk to complete the turn. Large loads like this frequently use this intersection, but lack the room to complete their maneuvers in the existing configuration. Due to the safety and movement concerns, an intersection control evaluation was performed for the Highway 11, Highway 80 County W intersection. Several alternatives were examined, including the addition of left turn lanes, signalization, and conversion of the intersection to a roundabout. Left turn lanes would not solve the existing failure to stop problem, and the intersection does not meet WSDOT's signal warrants. In addition, neither of these alternatives would solve the existing truck movement concerns. Roundabout alternatives were ultimately recommended for further development by the intersection control evaluation, but the roundabout concept was ultimately not supported by the Village of Hazel Green. WSDOT is currently exploring an alternative where truck aprons could be added to the two-way stop-controlled intersection to assist with truck overtracking needs while minimizing impacts and the scope of work beyond the existing footprint of the roadway. This slide shows a conceptual layout for the truck apron enhancement alternative. Note that north is to the right in this plan view exhibit, so the Village Hall is in the lower right. The solid black areas represent areas that would be paved with red-colored concrete with rolled curb and gutter in front to allow for truck overtracking. The picture on this slide shows an example of this in use on a recent WSDOT project. The example also shows how the truck apron can interface with curb ramps to still allow for overtracking space while accommodating a pedestrian crossing closer to the intersection. We're proposing a similar approach along the south and east legs of this intersection. The truck apron enhancement alternative is being designed to accommodate a standard WB67 semi in lane for southbound to westbound and eastbound to southbound right turns. The truck apron in the southeast quadrant of the intersection is being sized to accommodate a standard WB40 semi in lane traveling northbound to eastbound. In each instance, the cab of the truck will follow a normal right turn path within the roadway pavement, and as the trailer is pulled behind the vehicle, it will overtrack onto the rolled curb and through the new concrete truck aprons until the turning movement is complete. This slide shows the modeled swept paths of the design vehicles and how those turning templates were used to inform the sizing of the truck aprons. Note that north is up in the plan view exhibit with the Village Hall located in the upper right corner of this picture. The truck aprons are not being sized to accommodate the full complement of oversized overweight vehicles in lane. However, the truck apron enhancements will provide more dedicated area that these vehicles could use to navigate the intersection. The truck apron enhancement option also moves the sidewalk further away from the main curb line, enhancing safety by making oversized overweight vehicle sidewalk driving like we saw in the video earlier less likely. The other significant intersection modification in Hazel Green is on the northern edge of the village. WSDOT is looking into adding a left turn lane in the northbound direction at the Lewisburg Road intersection in an effort to address the rear-end collision problems at this intersection. This improvement will result in a wider intersection footprint to the east, but the through and left turning traffic will be effectively separated to avoid conflicts and enhance safety. The proposed projects will require real estate acquisition from parcels adjacent to the Highway 11, Highway 80 County W intersection, the Lewisburg Road intersection, and near the culvert pipe extension north of Buncombe Road. Permanent acquisitions will also be required at some curb ramps in Hazel Green due to the layout of the existing sidewalk relative to existing right-of-way. In addition, temporary easements will be required for curb ramp reconstruction for most of the curb ramps in Hazel Green. Real estate will not be acquired until the environmental document has been signed and the project has been developed to at least the 60% level of detail. Information will be sent to all affected property owners discussing the real estate acquisition process. The project is anticipated to be built primarily under flagging operations. However, there may be times during the project where traffic will have to be detoured due to the inaccessible nature of the work being performed. Since trucks rely on spaces beyond the existing curb and gutter to complete their movements in the existing condition, it's unlikely that the intersection could remain open to them while the truck apron work was going on. The final traffic control and staging concepts will be refined by the design team as the project progresses. During construction, access will be maintained for residents and businesses to the greatest extent possible. Limited exceptions to driveway access are expected during work operations immediately in front of access points. However, these times of restricted access are anticipated to be infrequent and well communicated in advance of any access restricting work. Specific access needs can be communicated with the design team now or with the department's field representatives during construction. This is the current schedule for projects 1706-0601 and 5330-0203 in Hazel Green. The project team is actively working on the environmental document. The environmental document is anticipated to be signed in the winter of 2022. The 60% plans are also anticipated to be completed in the winter of 2022, along with the right-of-way plat. Real estate acquisitions may take more than a year to complete and are anticipated to conclude in summer 2023. The final plan should be completed by August 2023, and construction is anticipated to begin in 2024. There are other projects being delivered in the near future along the Highway 80 corridor, and we want to take a brief moment to discuss their scopes and timing. Project 1706-0600 begins on Highway 1180, 800 feet north of Lewisburg Road, and extends to a location just south of the Highway 11 and Highway 80 intersection. Project 5235-0301 begins just north of the Highway 11 and Highway 80 intersection and extends to Troy Street in Cuba City. There is a gap between these proposed projects at the Highway 11 and Highway 80 intersection, which was improved last summer. The scope of this improvement calls for milling and overlaying the existing pavement. Construction on this project is scheduled to take place in 2022. Project 5235-0300 begins on Highway 80 about 100 feet north of Jackson Street in Cuba City and extends to about 100 feet south of Business 151 in Platteville, with a gap at the US 151 interchange. The scope of this project calls for milling and overlaying the existing pavement throughout the project limits. The Highway 80 and Highway 81 intersection will be reconstructed with a single-lane roundabout in an effort to improve safety and accommodations for oversized overweight vehicles. Beam guard will be updated throughout the corridor to enhance roadside safety. Repairs are proposed at two existing structures within the project limits. At the bridge over Roundtree Branch, just south of Business 151 in Platteville, the proposed project will install a concrete overlay on the bridge deck to extend the structure's service life. The steel girders will receive spot painting, and the deck underside and abutments will have the damaged concrete spot repaired. The erosion concerns at the abutments will be addressed with the addition of riprap. At the box culvert at Blockhouse Road, the damaged wing wells and header will be fully replaced. This project is currently in the real estate acquisition phase, and construction is scheduled for 2023. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns about this project, please send us an email, give us a call, or send us mail at the Wisconsin Department of Transportation Southwest Region Office in Madison. Additional project information will also be regularly updated on the project website listed here. The list of people who are working on this project and their contact information will be displayed on the next slide. Thank you for your interest in these projects, and we sincerely look forward to working with you to make these proposed improvements a success.